Hello, I hope you're having a good week. This is week 4, so I understand that you're working on the midterm this week. I just wanted to bring up a couple of concepts that, because of the two different versions of textbooks we have for this course, thanks to our bookstore, some of you did not get the information on this, so I wanted to bring it up. I've also posted a link to a website that explains this concept, and the concept I'm talking about is contractarianism. So this was in chapter 6 of the newer textbook, but the bookstore purchased one adoption back, so some of you don't have it. I did check the textbooks thoroughly, and really the main concepts of this course are present, so I can supplement as needed if I see something that you've missed because you have that book. So Thomas Hobbes was a radical individualist, and he actually did some of the early work on contractarianism. Basically, he contended that individuals are self-interested and that they seek to fulfill their interest and desires, and above all, they seek self-preservation. So because of this, because they want to preserve themselves and to survive themselves and thrive, that rules everything that they do. So that the only way that they engage in a higher call to ethical behavior is because there is a contract with society to behave a certain way. But that if their own survival or well-being is put in question in any way, they may choose to void that contract and behave in a different way. So in our text, it's brought up alongside the concept of utilitarianism. So they're close. There are some slight differences. I posted an article that will actually give you a lot of information about that. For the purposes of public relations, I think it's important because when you are doing public relations, there are times that as a PR practitioner, you may be involved in a charitable event for your company or the nonprofit that you work for. So there may be an event like to perhaps provide children with needed items at Christmas or back to school time or something like that. And that, well, although it is an altruistic and very good goal and activity, there is a tendency to be perceived by others that, oh, they're only doing this so that they can get good PR. So this is a dilemma that comes up that you have to kind of consider your ethical position on as you move forward. My position has always been that the company or myself, if it's something I'm doing, we're doing it because it is a good thing to do, because it is right, because it lines up with your moral standards, it lines up with your faith, and it is a very good thing to do. And you're not doing it to gain, but yet you are letting people know that this company has done this. And so that's where it kind of brings up a little bit of a struggle, because some of us feel like the good things we do should be done in private. Yes, that's true. I understand that. And there are many things that I do and that I would suggest that companies and that clients, when I work in PR, that they would do that are good, just that you do very privately. But in the real world of public relations, you need to tell the story, and people need to know who you are so they can trust your brand and your product. So we do tell the story. And so sometimes there are charitable events that are put in place and good deeds that are done for a good reason, but yet we do tell that we've done that. So that's where I think contractualism and contractarianism come into play, because it's a situation where you have to review your motives. You have to review your motives. I'm going to read you a little bit from the text. I have this version about contractarianism. So overall then, the state of nature will be one of war of all against all. As Hobbes describes it, they will each live in continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. The solution is peace, in which one gives up so much liberty as against other men as he would allow other men against himself. Hobbes says that in such a contract, an implicit agreement to give up certain things in order to better secure one's own self-interest exists. Thus, individuals will agree to certain rules in society that would be in everyone's best interest to accept and obey in order to seek peace and order. Hobbes also believed that an absolute sovereign was required. Many questions remain as to how the sovereign is to be chosen and how permanent is the sovereign's position. So his contractualism is based on a desire of each to achieve his own advantage while agreeing to social rules enforced by a sovereign. It's a view of how society should function, and thus both a political and a moral position. So it's really kind of interesting because you can see pieces of that in our society today. I mean, if you look at the very basic traffic laws, people, if everyone decided, I don't feel like stopping at the red light, I mean, we would have chaos very, very soon. So we do have to agree. And when we see someone in society who steps out of those bounds and makes their own rules, it is a problem. It is a problem. So I believe there is some truth to this, but as a Christian, I adopt the belief that I go to the higher standard, and that is to follow Christ's rules and guidelines. And as I said, in PR, you do come up with these situations where the company you represent or the client you represent is doing something good, and you are telling the story, and you struggle with, is it wrong to tell the story? And honestly, I believe it is correct to tell the story. As a PR person, you only choose clients and companies to represent that you feel are good and reputable. And if that is in place, then it's fine to tell the story because you want people to know this is a good place. For example, at CBU, I believe in CBU as being a great place for people to come to school. So you have to tell that story or no one will know it. Now, of course, are there private things that take place where professors pray with students, where administration helps a student out, where one student to another there is a ministry that takes place? Of course. So you don't tell every little story, but you have to tell the big story to get people to realize that this is something that they desire to be involved in. So I did find that concept interesting and hope that will kind of bring it into line with the other concepts you've learned in the text. I did place in the week 4 folder an article, a website that's on this topic, and I also placed one on campaigns because there was a piece missing on that as well from the other text for those who have the different version. But after you read those articles, and then you are up to speed. So don't worry, you didn't miss anything else. You're doing fine. And